for this opportunity to comment on the prospects in Ukraine of pension funds. Well, actually, I must say that I do share a number of comments that were made, and just to make something that I believe is very much in line of what Nikola was saying. Let's show my slide that I. Yeah, okay. So this is very, very relevant for what Nikola was saying. This describes the Italian experience for supplementary pension plans. Italy is really a kind of case study in terms of how individual accounts can work, and because it gives example both of individual accounts that do work and work very well, and also individual accounts that do not work. And basically the difference is actually in the fiduciary role that is played by employers. So we have two kinds of individual accounts in Italy. The kind that works, we call occupational funds. They are based on individual accounts, defined contribution, but there is a kind of centralized role, a level of industry. So it's not the whole country, as in the project that you have for Ukraine from the State Commission of Securities, Supervision of Securities Markets, but it's a kind of similar. So it is the employers of specific sectors, of the steel industry, of the chemical industry, that manage the pension funds at the level of the industry, together with the representatives actually of trade unions, and they negotiate the mandates to asset manager to manage actually the funds, to make portfolio management and choice of investment strategy. And you see the results. This is a graph, this is a slide that shows you on the x-axis the dimension of funds, and on the y-axis the level of costs. And the ones that let me see if I can point, maybe this one. If you can see the line that is just in the lower right area, those are the funds at industry. Those are the industry funds where the employer plays this fiduciary role. So the level of costs is around 0.5% of assets under management, and this is actually a very good situation. The Italian market was basically created at the beginning of year 2000, so it is about 15 or 18 years that is in place. So you can see what is the situation after a number of years. So you can think about how the Ukrainian system may develop in this kind of time framework. All the other points that you see that have costs that are much higher are funds that are sold by financial companies on the market to individuals. So basically it's the personal pension market, is the market for personal pensions. There is no fiduciary role, so there is no one that, how could I say, takes the side of workers to negotiate with financial intermediaries what are the best conditions. So the conclusion of this part of my comments is that what you really need to make individual accounts work is somebody that plays a fiduciary role. And this can be done at industry level, as it is done in Italy. We have very good experience on that, very positive results. I believe it can be done as well at the level of the nation as a whole. So I do like, actually, the centralized model that the State Commission is proposing. What I would also share as a conclusion with Nikola is that it doesn't work if you do not have this fiduciary role and you just leave to competition play the game. Just because there is too much asymmetry, too much information asymmetry between the workers that should look at what are the opportunities, should compare prices, should compare fees, but at the end, doesn't matter how much you push on education, this is not going to work, and this actually does not work also for very advanced and industrialized and economies, like number of ones within Western countries. So I really think that this is a very, very important aspect. Let me say there is also another experience that is working very well in the Western world, that is the experience of auto-enrollment in the UK. In the UK also, on the top of kind of basic and low level of public pensions, they introduced this automatic enrollment for all workers in 5-6 years ago. And it is working very well because, again, there is a fiduciary role of employers that, on behalf of their employees, look at what are the offers, say, by a different kind of pension plans that are sold in the UK financial markets, and they select the ones that are really convenient for the workers. There is also another element in the UK market that somehow goes in the direction of having a role at the national level for the state. They basically encourage the introduction of one pension plan that is called a nest. You may know that was actually introduced by initiative of the government, but it works as a private initiative with the standards, with the quality standards of a private initiatives, but with the aim of keeping costs low, because that is the main precondition, I would say, for the market for supplementary pensions works. So I would say I would very much go in favor of the decentralized model for Ukraine. I would not be pessimistic in the role that supplementary pensions, funded pensions, may play for Ukraine. What I want to emphasize is that there is a consensus that multi-pillar systems where you have a pay-as-you-go component and a funded component, these systems are more resilient to shocks, to uncertain developments for the future than models that are based only on one component, either if this is only the pay-as-you-go component or the funded component. So I do encourage Ukraine to go for building a second pillar, also for another reason that is in place for Ukraine, that demographics go very much in that direction. When you have the prospects of having a decrease in population, it is very important that you have a system where you balance somehow the pay-as-you-go component with a funded component, because obviously in the future, both for the fertility rate that is low in Ukraine as in other countries, and for immigration that you also have, you are going to have a number of workers that is going to be lower than now, and they will, and if you go only for a pay-as-you-go system, you might go into serious trouble in the future decades. So I do recommend to go for the building a funded component for the pension system, but again, the precondition is to keep costs low. And the way that I envisage as the most promising is the one that was suggested by the State Commission, and to have a centralized system where basically it is the state that plays that fiduciary role that I'm emphasizing, a fiduciary role in favor of workers and of future pensioners. Just one final word. It's also very important to have sustained and continued political consensus that has to stay in place for many years to come. So it is important that you try hard to get consensus on one proposal, and I would say the only one proposal that may fly that I see on the table is the one from the State Commission.
Thank you. And so we logically came to the issue which is heavily debated. What is, I would say, the